Hey everyone, I'm Steve.
And I'm Giancarlo, and this is a review of Scrappers. In Scrappers, players play as bodgers running and jumping around a conveyor belt to get the parts needed to complete a contraption. In the box, you'll find a game board depicting the factory and conveyor belt, a wrench marker for the foremen, 6 bodger tokens, 4 for the playable characters and 2 for the neutral bodgers, 60 square cards to use for the contraptions, and 60 action cards, 40 standard action cards, and 20 Keely and Goopy action cards. First player to get his bodger to complete his contraption, a core with 4 connectors, wins.
Here's how to set up the game. Place the board in the middle of the table, take the action cards and remove all the ones with either the Keely, the yellow bodger, or Guppy, the red bodger. Deal 3 action cards to each player and reveal them. The player with the most tussle symbols becomes the first foreman of the game. Give them the wrench marker. The foreman puts the action cards back in the deck, shuffles it, and again deals 3 to each player face down. Put the action deck to the side of the board face down to form a draw pile. Then he shuffles the card parts and puts those face down on the hopper. Beginning with the foreman and going clockwise, each player takes a bodger token except for Keely or Guppy and places it on an empty bodger space on the factory floor. Note that for a 2-player game, each player will control 2 bodgers. You are now ready to scrap it out in Scrappers.
The game is played over 3 phases: the maintenance phase, the action phase, and the part pulling phase. In the maintenance phase, each player, starting with the foreman, can discard any number of cards and draw from the action deck until he has 3. The foreman then moves the parts of the conveyor belt. First, he puts the part on the conveyor belt next to the bin in it, if there is any. He then moves all the parts as far possible towards the bin without changing their order. And finally, he draws the top card from the hopper and puts it face down in the empty conveyor spaces closest to the bin, and repeating until all the spaces are filled. Then, players move on to the action phase. In turn order, players can choose to either activate their bodger or pass to the next player by flipping their bodger token to the pass side. To activate their bodger, the player reveals 1 or more of his action cards and chooses whether to push the card's action button, if there are 2 or more, and then discards that card. The buttons have many symbols which allow them to either step, dash, jump, switch, draw, discard, move the conveyor belt forward, or reverse it. Some cards you can push as many buttons as you want, and some you'll have to choose, which is denoted by the hazard strip. Also, buttons have different colors. Black affects your bodger, red affects a bodger in the space next to yours, and blue affects anyone else's bodger. Once you've activated your bodger and played an action card, you can then press the button on the part that your bodger is in front of if you haven't pressed it this turn. Then you can repeat the process if you choose to, discarding another action card. When all players pass and their bodger are on the pass side, we enter the part pulling phase. In order, each player takes the part in front of his bodger. However, if 2 or more bodgers are in front of the same part, they are going to tussle for it. Each player in the tussle will draw 1 action card. Choose any number of action cards from your hand and then place them face down. Reveal them simultaneously, and the player with the most tussle symbols wins the part. Then discard all the cards used in the tussle. Get those plugs to your core, rearrange them if you wish, just be the first to complete it and you'll win.
We really enjoyed this game. There was a mischievous and fulfilling sense you got out of scrapping other players' plans as you pushed their buttons, or yours I should say. And we all laughed a lot doing it, even cracking smiles amongst the more competitive hardcore players. The game has that fun atmosphere with its artwork and gameplay that you actually don't mind seeing other players' strategy and how they foil your plans. And a game can be pretty quick, that you just want to play another game night after night. Needless to say, there's a lot of strategy involved, and the cover can be a little misleading in making you think it's only a kid's game. Your options are many, from playing cards a certain way, pushing buttons on the cards, or a board a certain way, to even timing when to activate your bodger, how many action cards you want to keep in a case of a tussle, and even grabbing a part you don't need just to take it away from another player who does. The rulebook is very easy and quick to read in multiple languages. Not many downsides to the game except for the fact that if we nitpick, that they should have included a player token to remind players who controls which bodger. In short, Scrappers is a great game for almost anyone who wants to have a good time, while still being competitive, strategic, and have a lot of player interactions, and we're giving it an 8 out of 10.